Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kingdom Innovation, where heaven blueprints are explored and they become a reality. So I'm very excited today with my guest. I'm always excited, but today I'm more excited than ever because I'm reconnecting with an old friend, somebody I made, oh my gosh, a decade ago. And I can't believe we're going back
Great.
in full circle. So I want to welcome today Joshua Weir. Wait, let me say the complete name. Joshua Weir. Say it right, Malvina.
Perfect.
Welcome, Joshua. How are you?
Thank you. Wonderful. Good to see
Yeah.
you. Good to be with you again.
Yes, great to have you on the show. And you guys know I just need to put a plug to Inside Now because they really support me. Pastor Chris is great. He's really my biggest supporter. And I like to honor them because they make the show possible. So thank you so much for Inside Now to sponsoring the show. But also, if you guys want to partner with us, you can always reach out to me, email latosina.malvina@gmail.com, and we can talk about ways in which you can support us. We do a lot of camps, a lot of retreat for young adults where we kind of equip them in kingdom innovation ideas so that they can become independent, they can serve God, glorify God. So if you want to partner with that, reach out. We can talk about it. But I'm really excited about today's conversation because, like, as I said earlier, it's a decade in the making. We've been talking about these things for years. And I'm watching the Lord bring a lot of not just people connections back. And I love that because I'm very relational. But I'm also watching the Lord bring me a lot of the things that He revealed many, many years ago back, resurfacing it. So, Joshua, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for making time. I know you're a very busy man. And today we're going to talk about. Let me put your name on the screen so people can know who you are exactly, and if they need to find you, because this matters. This is going to go to the nations. I think I'm prophesying. Um, and welcome. I want to talk a little bit about who you are, what you do, and all the things that God's doing with you.
Sure. Well, first, I'm a proud father of 8. So Ruthie and I have 8. I can't say littles because the ranges is from 23. I got 23, 21, 14, 13, 6, 4, 2,
Wow.
and 4 months old. So we have quite the range. And I was inspired
Tribes.
recently, just a few days ago, by Tony Dungy. If you know who that is,
Yes.
yeah. Tony Dungy has 9 children, and their range of ages is 6 years to I think 40,
Wow.
and he's 70 years old. So
You
he's
saw the future.
he's my hero. So, but
Yes.
anyways, my kids and my family, I always like to lead off with that because it's a little bit countercultural. That's what I'm most passionate about. Obviously, Jesus and the kingdom. But if it doesn't flesh out in my family, then who cares, right? If it doesn't,
Exactly.
if it's not manifesting there, then I don't care about whatever else somebody has to say. I also have a construction development company, and we, just build stuff, residential stuff, commercial stuff. Super blessed in that company. Been doing that for about 20 years. And then I'm actually starting a gym, which is so crazy. I'm starting a kind of an eclectic gym with my son, my oldest son. It'll have 3 basic components. It'll have a social lounge, about a 2,000 square foot social lounge for people to hang and just be. It'll have a longevity studio, which will have cold plunges, saunas, red light. And then it'll have a standard typical gym in the back. So total is about 12,000 square feet. But we're going to open that here in about 4 months. And the whole vision behind that is meeting needs of lonely. There's just tons of lonely people. And the church, I love the church. I love Christians, but we're doing a terrible job of meeting the needs of the lonely culture that we live in. And so the gym, this was my son's idea. I'm just jumping on board with him. He was telling me how the gym is this incredible place where lonely people gather that aren't coming to churches. So we're gonna building this gym. We're going to staff it with highly missional, kingdom-minded lovers, just care for people. And so, anyways, that's a thing. And then obviously 12 tribes, which is why you reached out to me.
Yes,
This
yes.
thing that I'm kind of curating in a really light way. I'm initiating it, let's say it that way. But there's quickly a group coming around that's really driving it. And so, but we can unpack more of what 12 tribes is.
Yes. So,
later.
Josh, as you were talking, we're going to have a little bit of conversation. First of all, two things came to mind. I love what you said about family. Is something that I think is really important for this kingdom. I'm a stickler for semantics and for words. So in order to establish the kingdom, family is important. Not just our immediate family, but also the family of the Lord. So thank you for saying that about, the fruit, it by their fruit, so a lot of the times we can be great ministers and our houses are falling apart. Absolutely. So it's an idea with enough young adults to tell you American families are in trouble.
Yeah.
So thank you for saying that. The other thing is, I love the idea of you partnering with your son, because biblically, God's a God of generations, and he does bring the generations together. So I think that's also innovation through generations, which yes. I think is also part of kingdom. So I love that it's health, to take care of the body, because we have to take care of ourselves in order to, impact the world. That's and right. The last thing I'm going to say before I ask you about the 12 tribes is, I believe that we have to be community where we are the solution to the problems of the world. So if we're truly the kingdom of God, we're not a military force coming to, that's not what Jesus came to do. Yeah. But he came to redeem, he came to restore, he came to make things better, to give God glory. So I believe that this is important. Be the solution. Like you said, there's a loneliness out there. There is the brokenness out there. There's no community. We are in church, but we're falling apart. And the world is going away, it's falling apart too. Yeah. And we should be the solution. That's what my passion is with the show, is can these innovative ideas become a solution to a world without solution? Yeah. We've been doing the same thing, expecting a different result, or maybe escape to heaven or something. I don't know what our desires are, but that's not what the kingdom is supposed to do. It's within us. Can we walk it, and can we bring transformation? Peter's shadow. And that's my prayer. That it's just that somebody sees me on the screen and bam, something happens. So thank you so much for sharing that, because I think you in your introduction you've given me already food for thought. Things that are kingdom, and I pray that our audience can hear you. Know that is important. It's not even what we're going to talk about, but that matters. Yes. So thank you for sharing that. Now I do have a question for you. And this is personal, regarding all these things, the gym, your family, the 12th tribe, which we're going to dive into in detail. How do you incorporate the presence of God? And notice I don't say worship, because worship is us telling God how amazing he is. I'm talking about how do you minister to the Lord in those different environments? Because that's one of the core things for me, is can we do innovation understanding that this is for God, and in the process we minister to him? Is there something that you could share with the audience on what your practices are, or how God shows up? I don't know.
Yes. Well, I love the question, because I think it's missed so often. We get enamored by kind of the shiny objects, like, oh, I'm doing this, and we want to hear all about that, and we don't understand really what's behind it, if anything. Sometimes it's just gifting, and there's no depth, and then the people blow up, and we wonder why. Yeah. So I would say more important than anything else, I mean, I'm a nerd around John 15, but just the abiding for definitely is the word. You have to be in the word. I'm a huge believer. Joshua 1, Psalm 1, Deuteronomy 28, James 1, all word. We got to be people who are meditating and praying and speaking and leaning into the word on an absolute, I believe, a daily basis. So for me personally, to be connected to God as I'm running a business or in my family or wherever I'm at, to the degree that I'm in his presence in a very, maybe not popular way to say it, in a devotional way, where I have a deep devotional life, where it's intimate, where I'm talking to the Lord, where I'm sitting in his presence for extended periods of time every day. And that's my other thing. I'm a big stickler in that. It's not legalism. It's not any of that stuff. It's a necessity. I believe it's an absolute necessity if we want to be long-term saints. And I'm so thankful, by the way, Melvina, just on a side note, that you are still as passionate and in love with the Lord as you were 10 years ago. Because as you know, maybe better than I do, because you're connecting with lots of different people. People just burn out. So many people are just crashing and burning. And what I can say about you, I can guarantee you this, even though I don't know, because I haven't asked you before, that you have a deep personal life with the Lord. Is that true?
Yeah. It's a must, like you said. I mean, it's survival for me. I mean, like it's almost like oxygen. If I don't have it, and I don't want to sound Pollyanna, and you're like, oh, holy, no. It's survival. I cannot breathe.
See, that's exactly right. The way I like to say it is, I'm too broken. Some people that I know don't need to. And so they don't, and they're worse off. So I'm very thankful that I have a really broken past.
Yes, and who much is forgiving loves much.
Yeah.
So, and I that's one of my verses. The longer your history, you realize where you were rescued from.
Yeah.
I realize that a lot of people, and I know this is not part of our subject, but a lot of people that have been born in a Christian community, they're traditional. They go to church, and that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. I always tell the Lord, my goodness, if I would have had that, Yeah. But a lot of the time it becomes so natural and so familiar that they take it for granted.
Absolutely.
And they relied on their giftings, because giftings have been highlighted, and and gifting comes without repentance. So a lot of the time people don't even have to call on the Lord. They just show up with their anointing.
Yeah.
And so thank you for saying that. But yes, for me is, and that's why I asked the question, because we can talk about business, we can talk about ministry, we can talk about amazing things that are happening, miracles, people love miracles,
right.
But I always like to say, how many times did the Lord pray for his disciples for deliverance? I like to challenge the ministry. He didn't do that. He prayed for other people.
Right.
But his core group, his people, they knew him. He's there. You have him. So for me, is understanding the culture of presence changes everything. If you're in the presence of God, and I'm not talking traditional, it's just you and him, the word. He is the word.
Yeah.
So you're in the word and you're with him, and everything you do, you don't do anything unless he says.
Yeah.
So your ministry and your giftings take second. They're beautiful and necessary, but they're not the focus. He is the focus.
So your question, that's my answer, is my own personal kind of daily connection with the Lord then allows me to move into these other things, whatever these things are.
Yes.
And have at least a measure of connection to him. So then I can tell when I'm disconnecting, I can tell when I'm in my flesh, when I'm just striving. And so, for me, that's a have to.
Yes. So now let's get into the beef of things, because this is how we connected. And just so my audience understands, Like I said, I met him 10 years ago. We were in Northern California. It was a weird group of people. And we had so much fun. It was great.
Mm.
But then I don't think we got together again. That was it. It was like once in a lifetime.
Yep.
And recently, I saw a post that his wife put up about what Joshua is doing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's like speaking. I don't know, you spoke what I saw. So I said, I need to have him on the show. And I know this is what you mentioned earlier, the 12 tribes.
Yeah.
So talk to me about 12 tribes. And I'm gonna put him on the screen so you guys can focus on him as he described this. This is important. So before you get into it, Joshua, I need to say, first of all, prophetically, when he shared it with me and some of the information he's shared with me, this is part of the new. This is part of what God is doing that is new. A lot of people, it's like a revival is coming. We're doing this, we're doing that. I believe he has a piece of the puzzle of what the new will look like. At least how we're going to shift, because you bridge things from one side to the other. So we are going into an apostolic move. I believe you're very apostolic, Joshua. I think I have said this to you many times before. So I want the audience to understand that when he described this, there are components that can be incorporated in other people's businesses, ministries, relationship with people, communities. So it's all of it. It's not just Joshua has 12 tribes. So I want people to pay attention to the components. And Joshua, if possible, if you can go from how the conception of this to, how the Lord has guided you, because sometimes we don't have all the pieces, but God guides us slowly, step by step, and how you build this, or how organically has become whichever you want to express it, and what are you doing today, and how things are coming together. Who is your community? How did you find them? I don't know. Yeah. So I'm going to give him the floor and talk to us about 12 Tribe, Joshua.
Love it. So, well, first, I love what you're saying about it. It's not just 12 tribes here in Columbus, Ohio. Really, the heart of it is it being something that's reproducible and sustainable wherever people want to do it. So that's I just want to say that. So whoever's listening, I really believe that this is God's heart. Not that it'll be called 12 tribes wherever you're at, or it'll look exactly the same, but I think you're going to pick up some things that are going to be very just exciting. Because I just think we're doing what God's doing, and not just here in Columbus, but all over. So in short, I've had a desire for a long time, at least 15 years, because I was going through old journals, and so I saw it written in about 15 years ago. I was like, wow. And it's a desire to have a group of like-minded, like-hearted men and women who are coming from very different places, have very different gifts, and we partner together in something that's kingdom, that isn't, the end game isn't a ministry. The end game isn't a church or a business. The end game is just a partnering of sorts that's just around building the kingdom, which sounds super esoteric and ethereal and not concrete enough. But let me unpack it a little bit. So I've always been enamored by these groups. In the first, Great Awakening, you have John Wesley, Charles Wesley, Jonathan Edwards, George Whitefield. You have the Holy Club, which was another smaller group of those guys. You have the Inklings, which was Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. You have other examples of these groups of people who would gather together, not necessarily to build a particular brand or ministry or business, but were just so on fire, so desired to see the kingdom move that they were willing to partner with other strong people and say, what is God doing on the earth? So with that said, I've noticed it's really difficult to get strong or gifted, whatever word you want to use, gifted men and women in the same room who are willing to take small seats. That's one of my favorite quotes by a guy named Will Riddle. It's like everybody wants to. They don't say this, but everybody wants. People who with big gifts want to take big seats, and I just think it's a huge problem because it just, without unpacking all that. So my desire for a long time has been, can we get some really gifted men and women together who really, really, not just in words, but really just want to be a part of something that provokes people to then go and do things in their own churches, in their own homes, in their own businesses. And then what began to formulate out of that is this idea, and we named it 12 tribes, but the reason it's called 12 tribes is because we want it to be multi-denominational, multi-ethnic, multi-generational, and any other multi you want to put on there, but really, really lots of different groupings, kinds of giftings, kinds of people coming together, kind of a core group of sorts, who then uses their gifts in different kind of contexts that blesses the larger body of Christ. So again, let me kind of sharpen the pencil more. So what 12 tribes started as was a every other month gathering on a Wednesday night. And the reason it's every other month is because we don't want people to replace their own church with it. We don't want people to see it as this new movement. And every 2 months is infrequent enough that it can't sustain itself unless it really has the breath of God. And that may sound overly spiritual, but we just knew if we were meeting more regularly, people just make it something other than what it's supposed to be. And it's supposed to be this kind of activating, refreshing, encouraging, strengthening, healing, et cetera, gathering that then people go back into their worlds and do and continue on. So,
so Josh, let me,
yeah.
excuse me.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. So how do you select who's coming?
Well, who's coming? So for this Wednesday evening gathering, we just make it public. So we put it on, people just put little invites out on their whatever social media they have. So we kind of make it's open to obviously anybody. And so I invite my friends and family, and my friends and family invite their friends and family. And, it's kind of one of those things. So it's not a huge, it's 100, I think maybe 150 people showed up at our last one in March. So it's not like this massive thing, but it's, there's enough of a hunger in the body, at least in Columbus, but I believe this again, I think this can be applied to any city. There's enough of a hunger to come together, to experience God's presence. And I'll get into kind of we have 4 Ps. I love alliteration, but kind of 4 Ps. These gatherings are meant to do 4 things. 1 is just for people to encounter the presence of God. 2, that the prophetic would be really, really released. And just that there's an opportunity for corporate prophetic, individual prophetic, kind of an activating atmosphere where people are like witnessing and seeing things modeled prophetically in a way it's like, wow. And so that's number 2. Number 3 is power, where there would be healing, where there would be deliverance, that there would be people getting touched in tangible ways that are unmistakable. And then 4th, kind of the most maybe controversial, depending on the tradition you come from, is what we're calling purification, which is a lost art called confession of sin. So every revival, you can look up any revival you want to look up, and you can ask if you want to, if you're a chat person or whatever, you can ask, was confession a significant part of the Welsh revival? Was it a significant part of the Asbury revival? Was it a significant part of, you fill in the blank? And the answer is going to be yes.
I will go a step further, Joshua. It's in the Bible.
Oh, it's huge. But people miss it. It's very easy to miss. The Catholics have held on to it. The Protestants really got rid of it, unfortunately. I mean, we say it in theory, but we don't actually practice it. So all that to say, huge believer, because we've just seen it. We've been seeing the power of when there's a space and a place for people to confess, either individually with one other person, kind of a ministry setting, or, and this is crazy, publicly, based upon, some different prompts, there is a real release of the power of God that's incredibly beautiful. So those are the four things: presence, prophecy, power, and purification. And that's the kind of evening event on a Wednesday night. But what's happened, again, without trying to make it happen, is it's kind of morphed into multiple days now, and there are different things happening on different days that kind of meet different needs. So what ended up happening on a Thursday morning, and we've done it every time now. We've only done this 3 times, so 6 months. We've been doing this for 6 months. Our next one is May 11th through the 15th, so it'll be next month. We're technically in a month and 1 day. And what's happening is we're just allowing it to evolve. Like, we're not trying to, like, we really have a light agenda, meaning we don't know how this should form, but we're letting a small group of people that God's kind of pulled together, that I would call the kind of the leadership core, who each have, hey, what if we did this and we try it, and then either there's something on it or there's not. Well, 2 things that have happened that have been really, really powerful is, one is we had a smaller group gathering after the large Wednesday night event. On Thursday morning, we gathered about 20-ish CEO, kind of in the business community, guys that are either CEOs or executives, just significant leaders in their business community. And we brought them to a cool facility that's like a relaxed kind of coffee shop feel, but it's private. And then a couple of our prophetic guys just shared prophetically one at a time to these guys. And we just did it on a whim the first time. This would have been in November. And guys just got rocked. And what I mean by that is awakened to things they didn't even know were possible to be awakened to as it relates to their love for God. I mean, they love God. All these guys are believers, but it's like, yeah, Jesus is cool kind of thing. And then where they're being literally awakened to a level of love for Jesus, desire to live for him like they've never had, just by having this one single event where they received a prophetic word, and it just activated something. We just saw it in guy after guy after guy after guy. So it's about,
and you just used the word I was going to say, the activation that happens because of this corporate setting.
Totally. It's, yeah. And it's very intimate, meaning, 20 to 25 guys, depending on the route, which month we're talking about. And so that was the first one in November. Then we did it again in January and brought some other guys. So the guys that got prophetic words that were business guys on that Thursday morning, they brought some of their friends. And so we had a new crop. And those, well, there's probably 25 guys there, but only about 10 were new. Those guys got lit up and something was released. And then we did it again this next time. So we've had 3 rounds of these kind of executive business leaders just being personally ministered to, but in a really safe and Holy Spirit filled, lots of mutual respect and honor in the room, because you got guys that are all wanting to do something for God through their business, but maybe don't know exactly how or want to be further empowered. And so that's been absolutely incredible. That's like worth the price of admission. Just if this gathering didn't do anything else other than refresh people on Wednesday night and set these business guys on fire Thursday morning, it would be a home run. But then
one thing I wanted to tell you, Josh, and don't forget what you were going to say.
Yeah.
Sorry I interrupt, but
no problem.
When we spoke, one of the things that I think I shared with you, as I listened to you describe this in these different concentric movements, because what I see as you talk, I see this, it's like a ripple effect.
Yes.
You have like one thing, and then they gather, and then the other guys gather, and this guy got a prophetic word, and then he gathers, and he expand. And what I see is the Lord had given me a blueprint of the Tabernacle of David, which I believe is part of the new, in the book of Acts, it tells you the restoration of the Tabernacle of David, which was prophesied by Amos, is happening. And I see that. But everybody thinks Tabernacle of David is about, just doing worship musicians,
Yeah.
in a tent. But when you read the book of Chronicles, First Chronicles, you see those concentric circles. If you were to look at it, not linear, but if you look at it, you have the presence of God, and then you have the ministers, the worshipers, the prophetic, which you just described. These people got prophetic words, and then out of the prophetic word you get, I am looking at my blueprint here, have a military order, you have treasurers, you have business people, it's a kingdom. I mean, David had to run the kingdom, and you see these concentric circles expanding, and no pun intended, 12 tribes moving around the presence of God in a concentric way to impact the world. You can actually conquer the world. So I wanted to just encourage you with that, because I think there is a component here of this wheels within wheels, almost all turning in different directions. So go back to your thought.
It's good. I love it. Well, real quick, just to back up, because this can probably get a little overwhelming in terms of how I'm unpacking it, because it's become a week-long event now. Now it's Monday through Friday. I guess what I'm trying to unpack through the story is that it did not start that way. I would have been overwhelmed by the thought of that, and B, I didn't have the capacity nor the team to really make that happen. So literally the first time we did it, it was an evening event that had a couple straggler events on either side, and that was basically it. I mean, it wasn't. And so I just want to say that you don't need to have this full-orbed menu laid out on day one at all. So I want to say that. The other thing that I want to say is, I think I can't overstate this: big men, big gifts, big women. That's probably a bad phrase, but strong. How about that? Strong gifts,
anointed,
called men and women who are really, really not willing, but happy to take small seats. That is marks this thing that we're doing. People with really big gifts, unfortunately, I think, vote themselves out, so to speak, of doing something like this, because we want to use our gift and we want to be seen and all of those things. And to back up even before this, is I was listening to a podcast with a guy named Ken Fish, who was interviewing who I don't know him, but I know of him, who was interviewing another guy that I'd never heard of in my entire life. His name is David Taylor. And he's a really, really strong prophetic guy who used to be with John Wimber. He was a Fuller theological guy, and then he worked in the business world with Hallmark for 25 years. I listened to this guy's podcast, and I've never had this happen before, where I was like, I have to get a hold of this guy. And without giving you the whole story there, I eventually got a hold of him, and he was my first guy. I brought him in, flew him in. He's from Kansas City. I flew him in, and he and I and a few other people started this thing. And then that was it. There was three of us. And then it's the people who came to the first thing. It became really evident who God was highlighting to be a part of what I would call the kind of the leadership core of this thing called 12 Tribes. So that's that. So let me give now the framework, because I think the framework will be helpful just to understand 12 Tribes. So now it's a Monday through Friday thing, and that's brand new. Each time we're nuancing and adjusting things as we kind of feel like, okay, God was all over that, and maybe not so much that, and just being really experimental. I think that's one of the exciting things about doing this is we don't charge money, we don't need money. We're not looking to, blow up on social media. So we can try and fail lots of different ways. And it's just okay, because we're just trying to discover what we don't think is fully clear right now.
And I think, Joshua, if you think about it, if God is the focus, you can't fail.
Yeah.
Okay. So 100%. the one that's highlighted here is the Lord. So
Yeah.
so really is doing what you see your father do, and making mistakes in the process, because we all, we only see in part. So you try this, it worked, okay, and the Lord kind of directs our path.
Yes.
For me, my failures have been my biggest redirection in the ministry. It's
Yeah.
been God telling, no, don't go that way, don't go with that person. No, I want it this way. So I think, as you guys gather, and that's what I'm hearing you say is, adjusting, being okay with testing. And I think
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur that you are, this is part of being an innovator. You always have to test. And the first Tesla did not run the way the Tesla runs. Okay. And so you have to test it. The iPhone didn't look like the iPhone today. So when you look at these highly technical things of creativity, which is really God is the creative one. The enemy can't create anything, but he's a created being. It's God being creative. There is always a testing and a probing and a research and development. You need to research the thing. You need to reason together. You need to test it and let God refine it.
Yes.
I guess.
Love it.
Yes.
Let me just kind of, I guess, double down on one of the pieces that I think is pivotal. It's kind of along the lines of taking small seats, is the money. It's interesting. I just finished the book of Romans, and it says in Romans 16, I think it's the first couple verses, but that Paul, he was commending, I can't remember her name, but he calls her a benefactor. And basically, a benefactor is somebody who financially is allowing for the thing to happen.
Yes.
Right? So that's what a benefactor is. And I was like, there it is. So what's happening with 12 tribes is it is benefacted, whatever that's a word. So there is a small group of businessmen who are front footing the bill and super, super happy to do it. It's like really fun. It's a kingdom check. We feel so kingdom when we're all stroking these checks, so that there is no money associated with any of its success. Once this gets really big, then it's not monetized. And I have no problem with money. This isn't because money's bad. I think money is a very powerful tool, and I'm happy to have a company that's successful. And I think I want my sons and daughters to be super successful. So I'm not anti-money, but I'll say this. I think so much of the problems that we're having, specifically now in the body of Christ, in the whole charismatic to reformed to evangelical Catholic, is connected. Follow the money.
Yes.
When you take the money out of the equation, oh my goodness, so much freedom. So yes. I love, Paul said it. He says, I preach to you the gospel free of charge. And so I just want to really put a big, bullet or a big highlight on that.
Yes. And Joshua, you mentioned the benefactor. Her name is Phoebe.
Okay, there you go.
Phoebe, she was a benefactor. And by the way, also you can read on the book of Acts, Barnabas, who was a great encourager, who sold his house. I mean, he just went, I'm like, I got to go fund the kingdom. Yes. So what's unique about the Church of Antioch is that it was funded. You have Lydia, you have these people knew that God was moving. Therefore, the money, the Judas situation doesn't happen. So you're not nickel and diming each other, doing the nonprofit thing, because you're contained. I always said, if you're nonprofit, you're prophesying that you're never going to profit. And that's not kingdom. So I just wanted to say that. So Phoebe, and you guys can read that in Romans.
I love it. Well, I think, again, I don't think it's a small point. So David Taylor, this prophetic guy that I met via the podcast who came in. So he was part of the Jesus movement. He got saved in the Jesus revolution. He was on Wimber staff. I mean, he's been there and done that. He was he was there at Kansas City before it got really weird, and then he bailed. He's just seen lots of things. And one of the things he really highlighted to the thing that's happening here in Columbus called 12 Tribes is that it's pure. He's just like, man, there's something so sweet because it's pure. And we just need more of that. We need more movements. We need more gatherings that are just not said in name only, hey, this is for the kingdom, but like really at the end of the day, nobody's pocketbook or ministry gets a bump, right? It's just how do we facilitate and usher and move the kingdom. So that's that. So let me give you the quick outline, just because I think it's what it's morphed into, and I'll give brief explanations to why. So Monday is fly-in day for the guys that are flying in, because there's a few guys that fly in or drive in from farther away. The idea is this is for Columbus residents, but obviously we're like anybody can come in. We had a guy flying from England, a guy come out from Denver, so we're cool with anybody coming, especially if they're like, come and see, so then you can go and model it somewhere else.
Very apostolic, Joshua.
Yeah,
very apostolic.
So Monday is come in. Monday night is not an open prayer meeting, like anybody come, but kind of the people who really, how do I say it bluntly, who really believe in the power of prayer and understand that prayer gatherings, historically, have really moved things. And so having that Monday night is kind of in the spirit of John Wesley and George Whitefield, First Great Awakening. They would gather and pray and stuff would happen. And so that's the Monday night, setting up the week, this evening of prayer, Monday night. Then Tuesday is a combination of two things during the day. It's one-on-one ministry. So kind of by appointment. So again, kind of specifically appointed people who are like, hey, she or he or they really could use some one-on-one ministry from some of these folks that, again, have some heavy gifting, who can operate in the prophetic and healing and deliverance and really provide the quantity of time that it takes to bring somebody through a process that sometimes we just don't have time for. Like we pray for somebody for 5 minutes, which is cool. That's good. More of that. But we need time where we're praying for 2 hours and 3 hours over somebody. And again, that sounds weird for some people, but it's just, there's no question stuff happens in that context that can't happen and won't happen for decades until people have these appointments set up. So
yes,
Tuesday and Wednesday really is oriented around, and again, that's not high volume. We're talking 3, 5, 8 people kind of go through that. Simultaneously, this will be the first. Now we've been doing that the last several times. And it's been very powerful for a select number of people. But now what we're going to implement is kind of a classic seminar, and that'll be a Tuesday and Wednesday during the day. And what I mean by seminar is it's straight teaching around core principles that we believe are critical. Everything's true in the Bible, but there are times when there are certain things that are really critical based upon the season we're in, the culture we live in, the prophetic kind of overtones that are happening in that season. So, but these will be chunks of teaching that'll happen from people who have deep wells in each of these pillars, not just, hey, I came up with this sermon over the last couple of weeks and here it is. Like not that, like people who've been living it, breathing it, if not for decades, then potentially at least minimum a decade.
Yes, these are building blocks, Joshua, is the way I see it. Each person they have a portion for the structure to sustain itself.
Yes. And that will be, again, seminar style. You show up at this space, there'll be an hour teaching on what is a kingdom. What is family? And again, people are like, I know what the kingdom is. I know what family is. We don't. What is deliverance and healing? How do we operate in these, that kind of stuff? How is business actually kingdom? Just seminar style, where we're unpacking kind of deep things that we often just don't have context to do. So that's Tuesday and Wednesday. And then Wednesday night, I already described, is kind of a larger gathering. So those seminars are successful if we have 5 people at them. We're not looking for 500 people. If 5, 10, 15 people show up, that's it. That's all we need.
Yeah.
Then Wednesday night, now we're on to Wednesday night. That's the big kind of center of the week. That's the dinner bell, right? That's the everyone come, and it's classic worship, right? It's just there's going to be worship. What we've done in the past 3 is we've had a time of teaching, about 30 minutes of instruction. We're not going to do that anymore. And the reason isn't because we don't believe in teaching and instruction. That's why we're putting it on Tuesday and Wednesday. It's because that evening, what we're finding is there's such a momentum of activating in the prophetic and healing and deliverance. There's worship with a word, with a corporate word, with a specific word, with ministry time, back to worship, with a word. Like, it's all of this. And we want to allow the entire 2 hours. It's about 2 hour night, 6 to 8, or 6 to 8. It doesn't matter. 6 to 8 or 6 to 38. I'm drawing a blank now. I think it's 6 to 8. And the whole evening is about releasing the captives, allowing there to be healing, miracles released, specific prophetic words, general prophetic words. So to give you an example, like last time, there were a few different, I would call them prophetic teachings, but they were 3 minutes. And then there's a call to action, a response to it. So someone had gotten up and said, hey, there's something about saying yes to the Lord. And then he unpacked it better than what I'm going to unpack it here. And many of you feel the Holy Spirit is calling you to basically sign up again, a full yes. Like, and he unpacked it better than that. And then we activated it. Okay, who's feeling that? Several people came forward, prayed for them, and then back to worship. And then another word for a specific person, a specific family. And it's just, that's the flow for the whole night. Yeah. And it's electric. It's like,
it's God. It's not electric. It's God. It's the energy of God moving in a place. It really is. And he's being honored. Because I think the key, if I can encourage you with this, as I listen to you talk, what the key is having when God moves in the prophetic, a lot of the time we get we get so excited about the prophetic. A lot of ministries is about, I want to go get a word. But here you're having you go up and then he sings back to you. He rejoices over you with singing. He comes back and gives you another word, and then you come back up. So, you have you keep using your hands. You keep moving your hands up and down. That's the flow of going up, and God comes down, and you go up in worship, and he comes down. And when you honor that movement, the Lord is pleased. I believe he's satisfied, and you feel the energy in the room is very different than just a triangle of a minister, and the people sit there receiving. That's a one way activity. So I'm loving the connection of the ups and the downs, and how God honors that. And you said you feel the fire. You have to, because he's being honored. So to put words to me is honoring God, ministering to him, and he can help it. He'll show up mightily.
I love it. Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's well said. And I was reading 1 Corinthians 14 this morning, and it's 1 Corinthians 14. It's just, there's a hymn, right? So it's the worship. There's a prophetic word. There's a exhortation. All of these things flowing. Yes. And it's just, I mean, we've got lots of testimonies of people saying, I've never felt the presence of God like this. I've never felt like this before. And these are Christians, right? This isn't. Yes. Actually, we had a Jewish guy come last time, and he was deeply. He didn't like bow his knee, but he was really, really encouraged by the presence of God, and he felt like specific words were for him. And so that's Wednesday night. Then Thursday morning, I already kind of unpacked what we do there. That's the business gathering. Yeah. Again, smaller group. We really want to keep it intimate, so it's about 25 people, and the only people that are coming really are people that have themselves received a prophetic word and are inviting somebody else. That's the key. you got to be bringing somebody. And then the idea is you're not getting a prophetic word yourself because you already got one. You're bringing your brother or your sister to get a word,
to be blessed,
to be blessed, and to be activated. So that's Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon is open right now. We've basically been going into specific businesses and doing some ministry in the businesses. So that's what we've done the last several times.
I love that because that's very apostolic. So you're going out in the community and impacting. So you're going horizontal. So you've gone vertically on Wednesday.
Yeah.
You've gone up and down, and now you're going out horizontally, which is really, that's the cross. You got the two levels. So that's pretty cool. Now, Josh, one question. I mean, I don't know. Is there another? So that's after that, what you guys do?
And then Thursday night, there's a smaller gathering of just kind of the core leaders, just to kind of minister to each other. And I forgot. Tuesday night. This is important. Tuesday night is a training night for people who've been kind of attending the Wednesday night, but it's a time to train those folks who are interested in being trained and how to move in healing and deliverance and prophetic, so that the room gets activated. So when it's time to release, because like the last time we got together, there was a call for people who were struggling with anxiety. I mean, the room just, basically like a third of the room was raising their hands. Tears were flowing off. People were visibly getting moved, but we didn't have enough trained people to just kind of spread through the room. So Tuesday night is going to be a time to train up a group. There's a pretty large young adult grouping of people, and they're going to gather at my house actually. And we're just going to train them, not just young adults, anybody who wants to come. But my son, actually, my oldest son, leads a group at my house every Wednesday night with about 30 young adults every single Wednesday night. Wow. And so awesome. Those folks show up Wednesday night now to 12 Tribes. Now what we're going to say is show up at my house on Tuesday night, get trained, get equipped so that you can begin to minister to other people at Wednesday night in the way that you've been ministered to. So that's a key piece. Sorry, that's Tuesday night. Then I already said Wednesday night. That's Thursday morning. And then Friday morning is the last piece, which is the ministry leaders. We did this for the first time last time. And you know how it is getting fellow pastors and ministry leaders together. It's very, very hard. Like just very difficult for lots of understandable reasons and other not so good reasons. We, on a whim last time, a week before the event, decided to invite some pastors and ministry leaders, and 25 showed up. And so, and about 10 of them got really, really touched. I mean, tears, lots of really, really cool things. So that's Friday morning, is kind of ministering to ministry leaders, pastors, and allowing them to be activated so they can go back into their fellowships or their ministries and kind of be more freed and healed and whatever they need. So and that's it. And everybody goes and enjoys the weekend.
Yes. One thing I'm going to come back on the screen so we can chat a little bit now that I heard the bigger picture. One thing, going back to the Tabernacle of David, if you notice the Tabernacle of David was outside, as you said, the leaders come on Friday. It was outside of the walls of Jerusalem. So what you had is in Jerusalem, you had the traditional type of, or let's call it not traditional, organized ministry. And then David had in Zion, or the city of David, the Tabernacle of David. And there, then you have an equipping, you have a ministry to the Lord, which is outside of the law. Because remember, the Tabernacle of David pretty much broke the rules of, the law says you gotta, only the high priest goes in there and does his thing. And then this is bringing an open, here you guys are bringing leaders that have churches and have communities of their own, but they're coming outside to this 12 tribe ministry to be ministered to be refreshed, to be equipped, to be encouraged. So I think it's exciting. To me, it's very exciting. I mean, I see the movement, but I'm also seeing a completely different pattern of ministry. because you're ministering to society, you're ministering to people, you're equipping. I mean, there's so many words. I was trying to write them down, then I stopped. And by the way, I want to go back to the money part in a minute. But what I heard you say is you go from ministering to the Lord to discipleship to, it's very apostolic. You bring people in from other places. They fly into the place. They go out to the place, so you have it's a movement, really, literally. It moves up and down, sideways, come into the region. And I think I said before we came on the air that I truly believe this will impact nations, because I think it will have a movement, it's waves, these concentric waves, ripple effect that impacts in so many ways. So this is exciting. I'm very encouraged to hear that something is happening.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, let me say this too. You're reminding me of another component. So, I have lots of other things going on in my life, obviously, right? I've got 8 kids. I've got a large business. I've got another business. I'm getting ready, a pretty big business. I'm starting with my son. So it's not like I've got a ton of time for 12 tribes. And what's beautiful is the things that I laid out, the Monday through Friday, I'm having actually less and less to do with them. Like Thursday and Friday, I show up. I don't do any of that. I don't facilitate. I don't lead it. I literally show up. Wednesday night, even, I'm still kind of a MC for the evening, and I'm happy to do that. It's fun for me, but I'm not less and less. I'm just, which is, I think, the way it should be.
Yes.
The guy, there has to be a guy, right? There has to be a person that initiates something. I used to think, it's going to be, just this really organic, and the Lord really rebuked me on that. It's like, no, I've always used someone. But the question is, when that someone is used and God begins to breathe on that someone and the things that he's doing or she's doing, does it evolve into something that's bigger than just that someone?
Yes. It's not about the person. It's not about the person. The person is just leading with God, with the breath of God, really. Which we've made it the pastor, and when we talk about labels, I like words because words shape. And I believe we need to have kingdom language. That's another thing. I'm going to do a show on kingdom language, because we call things, ministry, and we call deliverance and this and no. What is that in kingdom?
Yes.
Because in church, it has one meaning, but in kingdom, it will have a completely different definition. And that's why I love the original language in the word. Go and find out to be free. What does that mean?
Yeah.
So I think when you're talking about this person that leads, is a person that's like Moses. He was leading, but the Lord is saying it. The person is just the microphone of God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it takes it very different. It's not the person that we go to for everything. So if you notice, you are telling us that they need you less and less. Well, that tells you God is creating this thing. So it's not about the man, it's about God.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, and I think the key piece to it, again, just to clarify, God always uses men and women, right? He doesn't just. I have a little bit of a pet peeve when someone's like, "No, it was just God." I'm like, "No, it wasn't just God. It was God using people, because that's how He operates. That's how He's chosen to move on the earth, is through people." But I think to me, one of the greatest evidences of God moving in a particular thing is that more and more people are being engaged. More and more people are being released to do the stuff. Versus, I don't care how big the thing is, if it's 1 or 2 or 3 dudes, kind of who are the primary show. It's just not that there's not a place and time for that, but it has to go beyond that. And ideally quicker than later, because we can't help but people worship. We have such a tendency to do that. And so the more eclectic the more different that the leadership can be. Man, beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yes. And Joshua, you know them by their fruit. So you're telling me, people are being impacted, people are being transformed, people are being changed. And I know we're in the hour, but I have a couple of questions for you. One is, are there any specific, I know in the video that I saw in Facebook, there was a specific miracle that happened. Can you share with us some of the actual things, for the audience to know what kind of fruit you're seeing? So it's not just the gathering, everybody being impacted and so on.
Yeah.
There's actual big miracles happening.
Yeah, at this point, the only big miracle that I'm aware of is the one that you found out through my wife's Facebook. But to say that real quickly, did you want me to say that here, or?
Yes, please share it. Okay. I think the audience would love to know what's happening.
So a beautiful story. A guy that's actually in my church who showed up to the event had a collapsed artery in his brain. It wasn't operable by his neurosurgeon. They said that this is very, very few neurosurgeons are willing to even operate on this because it was so deep in the brain. And it was necessary to operate on it because it was cutting off, I forget if it's oxygen or blood supply, but either one obviously is essential. And his brain would slowly die, they said, over time. And then he would either have a stroke or die. So that's the situation he was in. He looked terrible. I mean, he looked really, really bad. And he showed up not because he wanted to, but because another friend of his really wanted to go to the event, but his car broke down. So this guy's name is Roy. Roy, please, take me. And so he ended up taking his friend, and the event was over. Like 12 tribes, Wednesday night's over. We're done. We're wrapping up. And I go up just to say hi to him. And I said, hey, Roy, why don't you come up and get prayer from somebody? And so he came up, and the person prayed for him. It was actually David Taylor. And Roy did not tell David anything. David just started to pray for him. And David said, hey, I'm getting a picture of a hose that's collapsed and is opening up. And Roy is like, well, that's what's going on in my brain. So that was that. So I prayed for him. Nothing miraculous happened. I mean, nothing visibly miraculous happened. And then about 2 weeks later, Roy comes up to me at church, shows me 2 pictures on his phone of MRIs. He said, I found a neurosurgeon who was willing to do the surgery. And so obviously before you have surgery, they do a
scan.
And brought him into his office and said, Roy, I don't know what happened, but you don't need surgery. You see this? This is your collapsed artery. Here's this other picture. The artery is no longer collapsed. And Roy said, is this like normal? Does this ever happen? He's like, I've never seen it. I have no explanation. And that's it. So that's obviously a creative, amazing miracle. And I'm really believing for more of those. I don't have any other testimonies on that level. But I think another one of my favorite phrases is slow is fast.
Yes.
We don't need to rush things. And so God, that's a first fruit. That's a small little touch. More, Lord. And then we'll just be, so there's lots of other examples of people who've just been emotionally impacted because they're not very emotional with God. Yeah. They've not really felt his presence and they're crying. There's people who have had lifelong anxiety who feel more peace than they've ever felt in the gathering. So there's those kinds of testimonies that are like, wow, like again, first fruits. But that's what we want. We want people to come, and that's what we all want, right? The body of Christ wants people to come from the outside, whoever those are, believers, non-believers, to encounter and experience something that is clearly God in a way that they're like, God is real. And
that's awesome. Well, I want to invite you, Joshua, I don't know if there is anything specific that you want to share, you want to encourage people or do an impartation, because I think you carry a very unique mantle as a pioneer, innovator, businessman, but also passionate man of God, man after God's own heart. And I want to invite you to maybe, if you want to pray or just say or impart something, whatever the Lord places in your heart, so that people that watch the interview can not only listen to what God's building, but also maybe they can be encouraged as they listen to you talk. So I want to invite you before we close. So if you can just speak to them.
One thing comes to mind right away. So I'm hoping this is exactly what people need to hear, maybe that will listen to this, is I think honoring the organized church is really, really important, which is very, very hard for people who are entrepreneurial, apostolic, prophetic, whatever word you want to place on it. It can be very difficult because you can see so much that's not right in your church that you're going to, or that you used to go to, or that you're trying, it's so easy just to pick it apart. Very easy. I've done it for a long time. I am very much connected and a part of a local fellowship. And the reason I think it's very important to honor the local fellowship isn't because it's the answer, because it's not. That's the problem. We've kind of said that this local little gathering needs to answer all of society's ills. It hasn't, won't, and never will. But there's a place for it. And when we don't honor pastors who are really laying their lives down, whether they're doing it perfectly or not, that's beside the point. They've been laying their lives down, many of them for decades. I think when our hearts are critical towards the body in that way, it really limits the ability for the Holy Spirit to use us as instruments, not just in that fellowship, but just in the larger body. And so I think just being able to honor weird parts of the church that you don't like, whether you're Reformed or Charismatic or Catholic, just honoring the whole body and honoring it enough where you're actually a part of a local. I think that's a huge humility check. If you can't kind of be a part of a broken system because it's so broken, you probably haven't dealt with some issues in your own heart. And I don't mean that like you need to like love every bit of it. I don't, but I think it's critical. And so, and the other thing I would say is if we don't honor what currently is an expression, then why would God honor us with giving us vision and clarity on another expression when we're dishonoring maybe the previous expression or whatever you call it? So that's I just feel like, so Father, I just pray that you would release any of us who still struggle with bitterness, judgment, hurt from the local church, from ministry leaders, even all the disappointment coming down right now through the failings of many, many men and women of God, or that you would release us from having a spirit of just a bitter kind of divisive spirit. Help us to not be cynical. Help us to be humble. James 3, just that we would really walk in humility, gentleness, there'd be a presence on us that's just humble, meek wisdom, Lord. So thank you for Melvina. Pray your blessing on her. In Jesus' name, amen.
Well, thank you, Joshua. It was great. I'm excited. I know that God is going to do so much in Columbus, Ohio.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's fun laying it all out in this kind of.
Yes. And by the way, we will continue having conversations with Joshua. So stay tuned. By the way, share the episode with your friends because I believe that they carry a prototype. They carry a unique model. And like he said at the beginning of the interview, it may not work exactly. So let's not get all religious. Listen to the Holy Spirit, but there are very practical components. I never talked about the money, so maybe we'll do one on just the money part. That really take the nuggets that are applied, because the land is different. Each tribe, no pun intended, with the 12 tribes, each tribe had a unique land with a unique, anointing. So listen to the interview, take notes. I took a lot of notes. There are a lot of big words there. And put them to practice. Question the Lord on it and see in your region, or maybe you can partner with with Joshua in Ohio to bring it somewhere else. I don't know. So I want to encourage you to listen. There's really something important in here, and I am really blessed. I always say you heard it here first. But my friend Stacy will say, "Don't give up and don't back down. We have to do this. The Lord needs to receive what He deserves." And I thank you so much, Joshua, for saying what you said about the body and the church. The Lord had given me a word, says my body self-mutilate. And I think this is what we do. We kind of chop each other because we don't like that part. I don't like that part. And it's his body after all. So he's allowed all these things, and there's a reason why he's doing it. But I am encouraged about the new. I'm encouraged about 12 tribes. Thank you so much, Joshua, for coming on and being sharing in detail what you guys are doing. It's exciting. I'm really blessed by listening to you, and I pray that the Lord that He brings it all in, that He gives you more, that He blesses you with abundance of the kingdom, so that it can be His kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. So thank you so much, and thank you everybody for tuning in. And next time we will see what the Lord does. He always brings something new. So thank you for listening, and until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.